Nature Method, Chapter 25, the 25th chapter. Good news! "You look very happy tonight, boys," said Mr. Miller, a few evenings later, when they were together again. "You must have something good to tell me." "Yes, I at least have good news," Storm answered. "My manager said yesterday that he would pay the whole trip for me. Isn't that good news? I had hoped that he would pay part of it, but it is very kind of him to pay all of it, I think." "And I have good news too," said Brown. "My manager thought that my idea about the library was very good. I'm going to begin to work at it at once. I'm going to write all the letters myself and make all the plans, too, so it is a good chance for me to show what I can do. It is the first time I have had such a chance, and it is a very good chance for a young man like myself. So you will understand that I am happy." I showed him some of the letters I had written, and he said they were very good. And now I come to the best part of my news. The manager is so sure that the idea is good that he is going to give me a month's extra pay. Is that good news or not, I ask you? Mr. Miller, yes, that is very good news, and even Wood looks happy tonight. Wood, yes, I have some good news too. You know, I didn't like to ask for a raise, and yesterday I was thinking all day of going to my manager, but I hadn't the courage. I was afraid of asking him. Once I tried to take courage and had even got as far as the door, when the manager called one of the young ladies into his office, and I had to wait again. But later in the day he called me in, as there was something he wanted to speak to me about. He had been watching my work for some time, he said, to see how I did it. He had been watching that of some of the others too, and although I was a new man there, he thought that I did my work best. I'm going to work for him as his secretary, because he said he was getting older now, and he needed a young man to remember all the things that he forgot himself. I need a man, he said, with a good head, who can look after all the small things in the office, so that there would be no need for me to think of them. A man who can write my letters, and who is not afraid of a little extra work now and then. And you are not afraid of that, I know. How would you like to become my secretary? I should like nothing better. I should like nothing better, I answered. Well, I shall be glad to have you do this work. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you that now you have become my secretary, you will become a rich man too, he said, smiling. From the 1st of next month you will get a raise. You will need the money for your trip, I think. I thanked him, but I did not tell him that I had been trying all the morning to work up courage enough to ask for a raise. Mr. Miller, I could see that you all had good news, although I didn't think it would be as good as this. Now, when can you have your holidays? Storm, I can have mine when I want them. Shall we try to make the trip during the first fortnight of July? How does that time suit you? Mr. Miller, it suits me well enough, but the question is not so much how it suits me as how it suits Brown and Wood, because my holidays are longer than theirs. When do you think you can have yours, Wood? That time suits me very well. July is a quite quiet month at our office. Most of the people with whom we do business are away on their holidays, so we also have ours in July. How about yours, Brown? I'm afraid it's not going to be easy for me to have mine in July, because I had half of July last year, but I will try to speak to some of the others at the shop tomorrow. There are two whom I will ask to exchange holidays with me. There is a young man whose holidays are in July this year. I'll ask him to exchange holidays with me so that he can have mine, and I can have his. If his holidays are during the last fortnight of July, I can ask one of the young ladies whose holidays are during the first part of the month to exchange hers for mine. We often exchange our holidays at the shop. will it suit us better than that way? So I hope it won't be too difficult. Mr. Miller, well, that is decided then. Some days later, Brown was able to bring the good news that the young lady whose holidays were during the first fortnight of July was willing to exchange holidays with him, although his were a whole month later. It had even been very easy to get her to do so, because the time suited her plans much better. Now that they knew they would have enough money, and that they would be able to take their holidays at one and the same time, the young men became still more interested in their studies. Every time they had a chance of being together during the next month, they talked about their coming trip. Mr. Miller told them about the things he had seen in England, and they read about England in books and newspapers. This is the newspaper. Sometimes they even bought the English newspaper, the Times, and tried to read it, but that was not easy for them. Although they could understand something, most of it was too difficult, and Mr. Miller often had to explain it to them in words that they knew. Brown often bought the extra paper about books and the men who write them, which the Times brings out every week. You can understand enough of the language to be able to get many ideas for his library, so that his manager began to think that he must be a very clever man who had studied much about modern books. Brown also tried to get Storm and Wood interested in this extra paper, but Wood was too busy with his new work, and Storm was too much of a businessman to be interested in all these dry old books, as he called them, and never used a word of any language but English when they were together. This was a very good thing, and when the month of July came at last, the young men had become very good at English, and were able to say almost everything.